Hey everyone, it's Samantha from Scrapmaster's Paradise, and today I'm going to show you how to add some texture to this scaly lizard guy. This is Fergus with Cupcake from Wild Rose Studio, and I'm going to just color him in first. I've got YG05, YG06, and YG09. Let's zoom in and get started here. Let's do like that. Okay, I'm just going to start with my darkest color on this one because greens are a little bit hard to blend for me. So I'm going to go ahead and start with my darkest color and blend as I go. That beep is our dishwasher. Let's see, I'll work on his tail first. I'm going to have the darkest part being on the underside. This is the YG09 here. And then I'm going to go with the YG06. This way I can blend as I add more color. And then I don't have to do quite as much blending because it's hard for me to blend greens sometimes, especially these really bright greens. And YG05. You can already see the blending. Okay, getting to the end, I'm just going to do basic blending. I'm not going to make it look extra fancy or anything because I'm doing a colorless blender technique on here. Go back in and add a little bit more YG09 and YG06. This is YG06 now. And blending with YG05. Okay, so I like his tail, and I'm going to just go across and do section to section. So I'll start with his leg. This is YG09. Add it around all the sides of his leg. Oops. Got some little white spots going. Okay, and YG06, do the same areas. And then YG05. Okay, and now the side of his body here. YG09. Same with up here, I'll add the YG09 and YG06 to blend that a little bit. And YG05 in the center. Trying to make these blend together. Okay, for his little wing, I'm just going to color this part with the YG05 and the top part with the YG 09. No shading on this part, it's so tiny. Okay, and there's a little bit of his body part here. I'm just going to fill in that little place with the YG09. Then I'm going to start on this leg here. Close to his body, I want it to be darker too. Okay, this is YG06. Then YG05 to blend it all. I'm going to go ahead and leave the bottom of his foot for now. Then his head here. I'm going to make the underside the darker side and this top part lighter. I'm going to go with YG09. I'm going to start over here and work my way around. Okay, YG06, the same areas. And YG05. I'm going to start up here and then blend that line together. And I might add a little shading on his ear over here where the cupcake is blocking his ear. And I colored this little catch light in his eye. I can go back in with a white gel pen and make that white again. Same with his little nostrils. I can make the nostrils darker colored. It doesn't really matter. That's one of my tricks for when I'm coloring images with eyes. I usually just color right across the eye area and go back with a white gel pen and make them white again. Okay, let's see how this looks. I'm going to go back and add a little bit YG06 across the bottom here, just to give him more shadowy part. Not very much. And then same with right here on his ear. Okay, and then blend this part out. The other part doesn't need to be blended out. This part does. Okay. Last green part, his other ear. Start with the YG09. And YG06. And YG05. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, so I've got all the darker green parts colored in for the part that I want to do this technique. And then I'm grabbing my colorless blender. It's the 0. And I'm going to use the brush tip and I'm just going to make scales. I'm just going to doodle them on, I guess. We'll start with this face here. And you might have to go over the same areas a couple times. I might might just show up. I'm just making little scallopy shapes. We'll see how they turn out. We have to go over them again. And see, I didn't color anything else because I'm going to be going over across the line a little bit, and I didn't want to make anything else have scales on it. Okay, so they're starting to appear a little bit. So I'm going to go over the same places again. See if we can get the scales to show up even more. With green, it's kind of difficult. I want those scales to show up a little bit more than they are showing up. Just have to go over them a couple of times. They're starting to show up better. You can see him in his face now. He's got some scales. Let's get him down. Work on this other area. You could do this same technique with any kind of pattern onto a colored area. That's what's really neat about the Colorless blender, is it helps you blend sometimes, you can fix mistakes with it. You can also add lots of texture. It's pretty neat. And see, he's got little scales. They're so cute. I'm just going to finish his leg over here, and I think his ear. It's harder on these smaller areas to tell what it looks like. It just brings the whole image together. Okay, so there are his scales, and I'm going to go ahead and color in the rest of his little accent areas for his toenails and his little spikes and inside his ear. I'm just going to use the YG09. I'm not going to do any shading on those areas, because he's pretty shaded already, and I don't want to draw away from that really cool scaly technique. That way the eye is drawn to those areas. The eye kind of ignores these old boring areas. Make his little nostrils the darker green. I'll color his belly in. I'll go ahead and color the bottom of his feet this color too, just so it's easy. You know what? I just realized we forgot to color his little hands. Well, I'm going to go back in all three of my colors here. The YG09 I'm going to use at the bottom of his hands. Totally forgot those. Color them in real quick. we can actually add little scales to those too with the Colorless blender. Just because we want his hands to match the rest of his body here. Totally easy. Alright, we fixed that. Now I need to decide what I'm going to do with his belly. I think I'm just going to use the YG09 and the YG06 and just make his belly darker, but it needs a little bit of shading because it's so big. But I'm going to use mostly YG09 here. Since he's so round, I'm going to do the darker color on both sides and the lightest down the middle of it. And this is YG06. I'm going to go back in with the YG09, make it a little darker around the edges. And darker right where his hand is blocking. Okay, let's take a look at the whole thing all together. There's the little guy. He's got his cute little scales, his darker accents. He looks good to go. So in my next video, I'll show you the cupcake coloring. Thanks for watching. Bye.